anybody has any prayer requests, put it in the comment section and I'll pray over it. This message is on Judas Iscariot. This is the one we tend to think of as a bad guy. But today I'm coming at it from a different perspective. He's not to be confused with Judas Thaddeus. Judas was a common name in Israel because the Jews had a hero known as Judas the Maccabean. Judas was Jesus' treasurer. Judas became one of the 12 whom Jesus gave authority to heal the sick, raise the dead, and cast out demons. Now many think that when someone has the authority to cast out demons, heal the sick, and raise the dead, and all that, that means they're right with God. But that's not always the case. Look at Judas. Jesus gave him that authority despite the fact that he was a thief. Even then. Judas got mad because Mary anointed Jesus with an ointment. John chapter 12. Starting at verse 1. Then Jesus, 6 days before the Passover, came to Bethany, where Lazarus was, which had been dead, whom he raised from the dead. You remember Lazarus, who laid in the tomb for 4 days, and Jesus came, told him, take the stone away, and said, Lazarus, come forth, and Lazarus rose from the dead. This is that same Lazarus it's speaking of. There they made him a supper. This is verse 2. And Martha served, but Lazarus was one of them that sat at the table with him. Then took Mary a pound of ointment, a spikenard, very costly, and anointed the feet of Jesus, and wiped his feet with her hair. And the house was filled with the odor of the ointment. Then says one of his disciples, Judas Iscariot, Simon's son, which should betray him, why was not this ointment sold for 300 pence and given to the poor? This he said, not that he cared for the poor, but because he was a thief, and had to beg, and bear what was put therein. So he was stealing money from the treasury. It was Judas who betrayed Jesus. For this reason, we tend to think of Judas as the bad guy. But really, Judas had a job to do. It was a dirty job, but somebody had to do it. Because without Judas betraying Jesus, there would be no way that our sins could be forgiven. Judas originally made the arrangement to betray Jesus for 30 pieces of silver. But he appears to be trying to back out. We see this by Jesus telling him to do what he had to do quickly. And Jesus saying, "Wherefore art thou come?" Which means, do what you come here to do. When Judas saw Jesus was condemned, he returned the 30 pieces of silver and hung himself. The branch broke, thrusting him off a cliff. If it be the good Lord's will, I'll be back on here Monday evening.